Hey coin lovers and treasure hunters, welcome back to Global Coin News. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of United States Lincoln Memorial and wheat pennies. You might think these tiny 1-cent coins are just pocket change, but some of them are worth serious money in the collector market. In this video we're going to explore the top 10 most valuable Lincoln Memorial and wheat pennies ever, including different mint marks and exceptional conditions that make them rare, sought after, and highly valuable in today's market. From mint errors to condition rarities, this is a guide every collector or casual enthusiast should watch all the way through. Before we jump in, if you enjoy content about rare coins, historic pieces, and investment-grade collectibles, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. So let's get started. First up, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny, especially those in ugly or heavily circulated condition, and uncovering why even these rough-looking coins can still command attention in today's collector market. Let's begin with the basics. The Lincoln wheat penny, also known as the wheat cent, was minted in the United States from 1909 to 1958. The 1957 version was struck at the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the small D mint mark found on the obverse side of the coin. While millions of these coins were produced, making them quite common in general, certain variations and conditions can make specific pieces far more desirable than others. Now let's take a closer look at the front, or obverse, of the coin. The obverse features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. Along the top edge of the coin, you'll find the word, "In God We Trust," a motto that has become synonymous with U.S. coinage. To the left of Lincoln's profile is the word, "Liberty," and to the right is the year, 1957, followed by the D mint mark. Despite heavy wear, these inscriptions often remain partially visible, helping collectors identify the coin even in poor condition. Turning the coin over to the reverse side, you'll see the classic wheat design that gives the coin its nickname. Two stylized wheat ears frame the sides of the coin, curving inward toward the center. At the top, the inscription reads, "E pluribus unum," which translates to, "Out of many, one." In the center you'll find 1 cent, boldly displayed, United States of America, just beneath it. These elements together create a simple yet elegant design that remained unchanged for nearly 5 decades. Now, here's where things get interesting. You might assume that a coin in poor or ugly condition, scratched, discolored, worn down, would have little to no value. And in many cases that's true. However, with the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny, there are certain factors that can elevate even a worn coin into something much more valuable. One of the key factors is the presence of minting errors. Among collectors, error coins are highly sought after, and the 1957 series is particularly famous for a variety known as the double die error. While the most famous double die penny comes from the Philadelphia Mint in 1955, there are also minor double die varieties in 1957 coins, including some from the Denver Mint. These errors occur when the coin is struck more than once with a slight misalignment, causing a noticeable doubling effect on the text or design elements. In an ugly coin, spotting these errors can be challenging, but not impossible. Even faint signs of doubling on words like "liberty" or "In God We Trust" can significantly increase the coin's value. This is why collectors often examine even the most worn coins carefully, sometimes using magnification tools to detect subtle anomalies. Another factor that can influence value is the metal composition. The 1957 wheat penny is made primarily of copper, about 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Over time, copper coins develop a natural patina, which can range from reddish-brown to dark brown, or even nearly black. While bright, uncirculated coins are generally more desirable, some collectors appreciate the character and history reflected in heavily aged coins. Now let's talk about the market value. In average circulated condition, a 1957 wheat penny might only be worth a few cents, perhaps 3 to 10 cents depending on demand. But when you introduce factors like errors, unusual wear patterns, or historical significance, the value can increase dramatically. Even a coin in poor condition can sell for several dollars if it exhibits a notable minting error. In rare cases, coins that appear ugly at first glance have been sold for $125,000 due to unique characteristics. For example, a coin with a clear double die error, even if heavily worn, could fetch $165,000 to $367,000 or more. Coins with off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or other striking errors can also command high prices, regardless of condition. A 1950 70 penny may have passed through countless hands over the decades, used in everyday transactions, carried in pockets, dropped on sidewalks, and stored in jars. Its worn appearance is a testament to its journey through time. For many collectors, this sense of history adds an intangible value that goes beyond monetary worth. Another interesting aspect is the growing popularity of coin collecting, especially through online platforms and YouTube channels. Many collectors share their finds, educate others, and even turn their hobby into a profitable venture. Videos showcasing ugly coins that turned out to be valuable have inspired countless viewers to check their own change more carefully. To properly evaluate your coin, you might consider using a magnifying glass or a coin loupe. Look closely at the lettering and Lincoln's profile. Compare your coin to known examples of era varieties. You can also consult coin guides, online forums, or professional grading services for more information. The 1957 D Lincoln Wheat Penny is a perfect example of how something small and seemingly insignificant can hold surprising value. Next up, the legendary 1944 D Lincoln Wheat Penny is one that blends history, wartime urgency, craftsmanship, and the modern thrill of rare coin collecting into a single, fascinating narrative. Imagine holding in your hand a small copper coin, just 1 cent in face value, yet carrying with it the echoes of World War II, the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, and a market value today that can surprise even seasoned collectors. This is not just pocket change, it is a piece of American history frozen in metal. Let's begin by setting the scene. The year is 1944. The world is still engulfed in the chaos of World War II. The United States is deeply involved in the conflict, and resources are being stretched to support the war effort. Metals like copper are in high demand for military uses such as ammunition, wiring, and equipment. In 1943, the U.S. Mint had already experimented with zinc-coated steel pennies to conserve copper. However, those steel coins proved unpopular due to their unusual appearance and tendency to rust. So in 1944, the Mint returned to producing pennies with a copper composition, but not from freshly mined copper. Instead, they used recycled shell casings from the war, giving these coins a direct physical connection to the battlefield. Now focus your attention on the specific coin we're exploring today, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a D Mint mark. The D stands for the Denver Mint, one of the primary facilities responsible for coin production in the United States. Coins minted in Denver during this period are marked with a small D, located just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. This tiny letter plays a huge role in determining the coin's identity and value. Let's take a closer look at the front of the coin, also known as the obverse. At the center, you will see the right-facing profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This iconic portrait was designed by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Above Lincoln's head, the word, Liberty, appears on the left side, while the phrase, In God We Trust, is boldly inscribed along the top edge. To the right of Lincoln's portrait, you will find the year, 1944, and just beneath it, the small but significant D Mint mark. Now turn the coin over to the reverse side. This is where the coin gets its nickname, the Wheat Penny. On either side of the reverse, you will see 2 stylized wheat stalks curving along the edges. These represent agricultural prosperity and America's strength. Between these wheat stalks, the words 1 cent are prominently displayed in large lettering. Above that you'll find United States of America, and at the very top, the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. The design is simple yet deeply symbolic, reflecting unity, growth, and national identity. Now let's talk about the composition and physical details of this coin. The 1944 D Lincoln Wheat Penny is made primarily of copper, approximately 95% copper with the remaining 5% consisting of tin and zinc. This gives the coin its characteristic reddish-brown color, although over time, coins may tone to darker shades of brown due to oxidation. The coin weighs about 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. Its edge is plain, without any ridges. When collectors refer to a coin being in fine condition, they are using a specific grading term. A fine grade means that the coin has seen circulation and shows moderate wear, but important details are still clearly visible. On a 1944 D penny in fine condition, Lincoln's hair and facial features will be somewhat worn but still defined. The wheat stalks on the reverse will show clear outlines, though the finer lines within the stalks may be partially worn away. The lettering and date should be sharp and readable. Now comes the exciting part: value. At first glance, a 1-cent coin might seem insignificant. But the 1944 D Lincoln Wheat penny can carry a surprising market value depending on its condition, rarity, and any unique characteristics. In general, a standard 1944 D penny in fine condition might be worth anywhere from a few cents to a couple of dollars. However, certain factors can dramatically increase its value. For example, coins with exceptional preservation, known as uncirculated or mint state coins, can fetch much higher prices. A 1944 D penny in mint state condition can be worth anywhere from $24,500 to $50,000 or more, depending on its grade. Coins with a rich red color, referred to as red by collectors, are especially prized and can command even higher prices. But what truly excites collectors are rare errors and variations. In 1944, most pennies were struck on copper planchets, but a very small number were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. These 1944 steel pennies are extremely rare and highly valuable. If a 1944 D penny were discovered to be made of steel instead of copper, its value could soar into $136,000 or more. These are the kinds of finds that turn ordinary coin hunters into legends in the numismatic world. Another factor that can increase value is the presence of minting errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual markings. Even small anomalies can significantly boost a coin's desirability among collectors. The historical significance of the 1944 D Lincoln Wheat penny also plays a role in its appeal. This coin represents a moment in time when the United States was fully mobilized for war, yet still committed to maintaining everyday economic life. The use of recycled war materials gives each coin a story. Perhaps the metal in your penny once formed part of a shell casing used in battle. That connection to history adds an intangible value that goes beyond dollars and cents. Today, the market for Lincoln Wheat pennies remains strong. Collectors around the world continue to search for key dates, rare mint marks, and high-grade examples. The 1944 D penny is not the rarest in the series, but it holds a special place due to its wartime origin and widespread availability, making it an accessible entry point for new collectors. If you're lucky enough to own one of these coins, it's worth taking a closer look. Check the color, the condition, and the mint mark. Consider having it professionally graded if you believe it might be in exceptional condition or if it shows unusual features. Even a modestly valuable coin can become a treasured collectible when properly preserved. The 1944 D Lincoln Wheat penny is far more than just a piece of spare change. It is a tangible link to a pivotal era in history, a beautifully designed coin with symbolic meaning, and a potential hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Next up, we are diving deep into one such coin, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat penny with the S mint mark. At first glance, it may appear to be just a simple 1-cent coin, worn from years of use, but hidden within its copper surface lies a rich history and a collector's appeal that continues to grow even today. The 1953 S Wheat penny is part of the famous Lincoln Wheat cent series, which was minted in the United States from 1909 to 1958. These coins are beloved by collectors around the world, not just because of their age, but because they represent a classic era of American coinage. By 1953, this wheat design was nearing the end of its life, making coins from this period part of the final chapter of an iconic series. Let's begin by understanding what makes the 1953 S penny special. The S mint mark found just below the date on the front of the coin indicates that it was minted in San Francisco. In that year, the San Francisco Mint produced approximately 181,835,000 pennies. While this number may seem large, it was actually the lowest mintage among the 3 mint locations that year, making the 1953 S slightly more desirable than its Philadelphia and Denver counterparts. Now let's take a closer look at the front, or obverse, of the coin. The obverse features a right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected figures in American history. Above his head, you will find the word, Liberty, on the left side, and the national motto, In God We Trust, arching across the top. To the right of Lincoln's profile is the year, 1953, and just beneath the date sits the small but important, S mint mark. In circulated fine condition, the details on Lincoln's face begin to show signs of wear. The high points of the design, such as the cheek, jawline, and hair are slightly flattened. However, the overall design remains clear and recognizable. The lettering is still readable, and the coin retains a pleasing appearance, even with decades of circulation. This level of wear tells a story. This coin has passed through countless hands, witnessed everyday transactions, and survived over 70 years of history. Turning to the back, or reverse, of the coin, we find the iconic wheat design that gives this series its name. Two wheat stalks curve along the left and right edges of the coin, framing the inscriptions in the center. At the top you will see E pluribus unum, the Latin phrase meaning out of many one. In the middle, boldly displayed, are the words 1 cent, followed by United States of America beneath it. The wheat stalks symbolize prosperity and agricultural strength, reflecting the American spirit during the early and mid-20th century. Even in circulated condition, these wheat lines are usually still visible, though some finer details may be worn down. Collectors often look closely at these details to determine the coin's grade and value. While a circulated fine coin may not be extremely rare, it is important to understand that value can increase significantly under certain circumstances. For example, if the coin has a unique error, an unusual strike, or exceptional preservation, its price can jump from a few cents to $278,000. High-grade uncirculated examples have been known to sell for $426,000 at auctions, especially those with bright red original color. Another factor that adds to the appeal of the 1953's penny is its historical context. These coins were minted during the post-World War II era, a time of economic growth and transformation in the United States. The wheat penny design itself was soon to be replaced in 1959 by the Lincoln Memorial reverse, making the 1953 coin one of the last representatives of the classic wheat era. Collectors often seek out the 1953s specifically because of its slightly lower mintage and the quality of coins produced at the San Francisco Mint. Coins from this mint are known for having sharp details and clean surfaces, especially in higher grades. Even in circulated condition, many 1953s pennies maintain a certain charm and collectability that keeps them in demand. When examining your own coin, there are several key things to look for. First, check the mint mark under the date to confirm it is indeed in S. Next, observe the overall condition. Look at Lincoln's face, the lettering, and the wheat stalks on the reverse. Try to determine how much detail remains. Finally, inspect the coin for any unusual features, such as doubling in the letters, off-center strikes, or other minting errors. It is also worth mentioning that cleaning a coin can significantly reduce its value. Many beginners make the mistake of polishing or scrubbing old coins to make them look shiny. However, collectors prefer coins in their natural state, even if they appear dull or toned. The original surface and patina are part of what makes a coin authentic and valuable. The 1953's wheat penny remains a popular choice for beginner and experienced collectors alike. It is affordable, historically significant, and widely available, making it an excellent entry point into the hobby. While it may not be a rare treasure, in circulated fine condition, it still holds value far beyond its 1 cent face value. For those who enjoy treasure hunting, searching through old jars of coins, estate collections, or flea markets can sometimes yield surprising finds. A rare variety or high-grade example can turn an ordinary discovery into an exciting and valuable find. The 1953's Lincoln wheat penny is more than just a small copper coin. It represents a piece of American history, a symbol of a bygone era, and a gateway into the fascinating world of coin collecting. Next up, we are diving deep into one of the most talked about coins in American coin collecting history, the 1955 Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, this small copper coin may look old, worn, and even ugly. Many people might ignore it, toss it aside, or spend it without a second thought. But what if I told you that even a damaged or heavily circulated example of this coin could still carry hidden value, and in rare cases, even reach surprising prices in the collector's market? Let's begin with the basics. The 1955 Lincoln wheat penny is part of the famous wheat cent series minted in the United States from 1909 to 1958. This iconic coin features the profile of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected presidents in American history. The coin was designed by Victor David Brenner, and his initials, VDB, can be found on certain versions of the penny. This design marked the first time a real person appeared on a regular circulating U.S. coin, making it historically significant. Now let's talk about the front side of the coin, also known as the obverse. When you look at the front of a 1955 D Lincoln penny, you will see the right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Above his head are the words, "In God We Trust," a motto that has been used on U.S. coins for generations. To the left of Lincoln's profile is the word, "Liberty," and to the right is the year, 1955. Just below the year, you will find a small letter, D, which represents the mint mark. This D tells us that the coin was produced at the Denver Mint. Turning the coin over to the reverse side, you'll see a simple yet elegant design. Two wheat stalks curve along the left and right edges of the coin, giving it the nickname, Wheat Penny. In the center, the words 1 cent appear boldly, and just above that is, United States of America. Along the top edge, you will see the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one. This reverse design remained in use until 1958, after which it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. Now here's where things get interesting. The 1955 D penny is not considered rare in general terms. In fact, the Denver Mint produced a massive number of these coins. Over 563 million pieces were struck that year. This high mintage means that the coin is relatively common, especially in worn or circulated condition. Most examples that have been used heavily, scratched, faded, or discolored, are usually worth only a few cents to maybe $1 at most. Because condition is everything, and even more importantly, hidden details can completely change a coin's value. Let's imagine a typical, ugly, 1955 D penny. It might be dark brown or almost black due to oxidation. The surface could be rough, with scratches, dents, and worn-out details. Lincoln's face may appear flat, and the wheat stalks on the back could be barely visible. To an untrained eye, this coin looks worthless. But collectors see things differently. Even in poor condition, these coins still carry historical value. They are made of 95% copper, which already gives them a base metal value. Beyond that, they are over 70 years old, part of a classic coin series, and represent a piece of American history. While a heavily circulated 1955 D penny might only sell for around 30 cents to $1, it can still be desirable for beginners building a collection. However, when we move into better condition, the value starts to increase. Coins that are slightly worn but still show clear details, known as about uncirculated, can sell for a few dollars. Uncirculated coins, which have never been used in everyday transactions, can range from $5 to $15 or more depending on their quality. If a 1955 D penny is found in extremely high-grade condition, meaning it looks almost brand new, with bright red color and sharp details, it can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Some top-quality examples have sold for over $70,000 at auctions. That's a huge jump from a coin that most people would ignore. The year 1955 is famous among collectors for one of the most legendary mint eras in U.S. history, the double-die penny. This era shows dramatic doubling in the letters and numbers on the front of the coin. Words like liberty and in God we trust appear doubled, almost like a shadow effect. These coins are extremely rare and highly valuable. However, here's an important detail. The famous double-die era was produced in Philadelphia and does not have a mint mark. That means if your coin has a D mint mark, it is not the famous double-die variety. Still, minor errors can exist on Denver coins, such as off-center strikes, weak strikes, or die chips, which can slightly increase value. So even if your 1955 D penny is in ugly condition, you should still check it carefully. Look closely at the letters, the date, and the overall shape. Sometimes what appears to be damage could actually be a mint error. And in the world of coin collecting, errors mean opportunity. Another factor that affects value is color. Collectors classify copper coins into 3 categories: brown, and red. A fully red coin, even from 1955, is much more valuable because it retains its original mint luster. On the other hand, most ugly coins fall into the brown category, which is the least valuable, but still collectible. Let's also talk about why these coins are becoming harder to find. Over time, many 1955 pennies have been lost, melted, or simply worn down beyond recognition. Others are locked away in private collections. This gradual reduction in supply increases demand, especially for coins in better condition. In today's market, coin collecting has become more popular than ever. People search through old jars, inherited collections, and even pocket change, hoping to find a hidden treasure. The 1955 Lincoln Wheat penny is always on that list, not because every coin is valuable, but because some of them can be life-changing finds. Imagine discovering a coin that looks old and worthless, only to learn that it could be worth $132,000. That's the thrill of coin collecting. So what should you do if you have a 1955 wheat penny? Don't clean it. Cleaning can actually reduce the value of a coin, even if it looks better afterward. Collectors prefer natural surfaces, even if they appear dirty or worn. Use a magnifying glass to check for unusual features, errors, or strong details. Consider getting it graded by a professional service if you believe it might be valuable. Grading determines the condition and authenticity of a coin, which can significantly impact its market price. The 1955 Lincoln Wheat penny represents a time in history when coins were made of real copper, when designs were simple yet meaningful, and when everyday objects carried lasting significance. Next up, we are diving deep into one such fascinating coin, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat penny with the D mint mark. At first glance, it might look like just another old 1-cent coin, something you might overlook in a jar of spare change. But for collectors and enthusiasts, this small copper coin holds history, character, and in some cases, surprising value in today's market. Let's begin by understanding what this coin actually is. The Lincoln Wheat penny, also known as the wheat cent, was minted in the United States from 1909 to 1958. The 1953 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the small D mint mark located just below the date on the front of the coin. While millions of these coins were produced, certain factors like condition, rarity of specific varieties, and collector demand can make some of them worth far more than just 1 cent. Now let's take a closer look at the front, or obverse, of the coin. The obverse features the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln, facing to the right. This design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Along the top edge of the coin, you will find the word, "In God We Trust," which has been a standard motto on U.S. coins for many years. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word, "Liberty," and to the right, you will see the year, 1953, along with the small D mint mark just beneath it. These inscriptions are not just decorative, they represent the values, identity, and historical context of the United States during that era. Moving on to the back, or reverse of the coin, this is where the name, wheat penny, comes from. The reverse design features 2 stalks of wheat, one on each side, curving along the edges of the coin. Between these wheat ears, you will see the inscriptions, 1 cent, in bold lettering, and just above it, United States of America. At the very top, in smaller lettering, is the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one. This phrase symbolizes the unity of the states forming one nation. The wheat design itself represents prosperity and agricultural strength, reflecting the importance of farming in America's history. Now let's talk about the composition and physical details of the 1953 Lincoln Wheat penny. This coin is made primarily of copper, specifically 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. The coin has a smooth edge, meaning it does not have reading like some other coins such as quarters or dimes. Over time, as these coins circulated, they developed a patina, a natural darkening or toning of the copper surface, which many collectors actually appreciate. When we say a coin is in circulated fine condition, we are referring to a specific grade used by collectors to describe its level of wear. In fine condition, the coin has clearly been used in everyday transactions, and there is noticeable wear on the high points of the design. On the obverse, Lincoln's hair details will be somewhat worn down, and the cheek and jawline may appear smoother. However, the main features are still visible, and the inscriptions are clear and readable. On the reverse, the wheat stalks will show wear, with some of the finer lines missing, but the overall design remains intact. This level of condition is quite common for coins from this era, as they were widely used in commerce. So, what makes the 1953 Lincoln Wheat penny interesting in today's market? The answer lies in a combination of factors. First, the mintage. In 1953, the Denver Mint produced over 700 million pennies. That's a huge number, which means the coin is not extremely rare in general. However, finding one in better condition, or with unique characteristics, can make a big difference in value. In circulated fine condition, a typical 1953 penny might be worth only a few cents to perhaps $1, depending on demand. But here's where things get exciting. Certain varieties and errors can significantly increase the value of this coin. For example, collectors look for coins with strong strikes, original red or reddish-brown color, and minimal damage. Even more valuable are coins with minting errors, such as double die errors, off-center strikes, or unusual markings. These rare variations can push the value of a seemingly ordinary penny into the $85,000. Another important factor is the coin's color classification. Copper coins are often graded not only by condition but also by color. A coin that retains its original bright red color is labeled as red and is generally more valuable. Coins that have partially toned are labeled red-brown, while fully toned coins are labeled brown. Most circulated coins, like those in fine condition, fall into the brown category. However, if you happen to find a 1953 penny with traces of its original red color, it could be worth significantly more. The market for collectible coins is driven by demand, and Lincoln wheat pennies have always been popular among collectors. They are affordable, historically significant, and widely available, making them a great entry point for beginners. At the same time, rare varieties and high-grade examples attract serious collectors who are willing to pay premium prices. In recent years, the value of certain wheat pennies has increased as more people become interested in coin collecting and investing in tangible assets. Online marketplaces, coin auctions, and collector forums have made it easier than ever to buy, sell, and learn about coins. As a result, even coins like the 1953 penny are gaining more attention. If you are lucky enough to have one of these coins, it's worth taking a closer look. Check the condition carefully, look for any unusual features or errors, and consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service. Even if your coin is only worth a small amount, it still represents a piece of history, something that has passed through countless hands over the decades. One of the most fascinating aspects of collecting coins like the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny is the connection to the past. This coin was minted during a time when the world was very different. The early 1950s were part of the post-World War II era, a time of economic growth and social change in the United States. The 1953 Lincoln wheat penny may not seem like a rare treasure at first glance, especially in circulated fine condition. But when you look deeper, you discover a coin rich in history, detail, and potential value. Whether you are a seasoned collector or just starting out, this coin is a perfect example of how something small and ordinary can hold significant meaning and, in some cases, surprising worth in today's market. Next up, we are diving deep into one of the most iconic and collectible coins in American history. The 1946 Lincoln wheat penny, a simple 1-cent coin that carries history, mystery, and surprising value in today's collector market. Let's begin with the front of the coin, also known as the obverse. At the center, you see the unmistakable profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. His face is turned to the right, calm and dignified, as if still watching over the nation he helped preserve. Above his head, the word, Liberty, is inscribed, a powerful symbol of the ideals the country was built upon. Just in front of Lincoln's face, near the right edge of the coin, you will find the date. 1946, marking the year this coin was struck. Just below the date sits the small but very important D Mint mark, indicating that this coin was produced at the Denver Mint. Above Lincoln's head, arched along the rim, is the phrase, "In God We Trust." This motto reflects the deep cultural and spiritual identity of the United States during that era, especially significant as the country had just emerged from the challenges of World War II. The design itself was created by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Now let's turn the coin over to the reverse side. Here, you'll see two wheat stalks curving along the left and right edges, framing the center of the coin. These wheat ears give the coin its popular nickname, the wheat penny. Between the stalks, in bold lettering, are the words, 1 cent, and just above that, United States of America. At the very top, following the curve of the coin, is the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one. This phrase represents the unity of the states forming one nation. The simplicity of the reverse design is part of its charm. It reflects an era when coins were not just currency but also a medium for conveying national values and identity. The wheat symbolizes prosperity, growth, and the agricultural strength of the United States during the early 20th century. Now, let's dive deeper into the specifics of the 1946 D Lincoln Wheat Penny. This coin was minted just 1 year after the end of World War II. During the war, the U.S. Mint had experimented with different materials due to copper shortages, even producing steel pennies in 1943. By 1946, however, the mint had returned to using a bronze composition, primarily copper with small amounts of tin and zinc. The 1946 D penny has a diameter of 19 millimeters and weighs approximately 3.11 grams. Its edge is plain, without any reading. While millions of these coins were produced at the Denver Mint, what makes a particular coin valuable today is its condition, rarity in higher grades, and collector demand. The coin we're focusing on is in fine condition. In numismatic terms, a fine grade means the coin shows moderate wear but still retains clear and readable details. Lincoln's hair may appear worn, and some of the finer lines in the wheat stalks may be faded, but the overall design is still visible and recognizable. The lettering remains strong, and the date and mint mark are clear. You might be wondering, if millions were minted, how can this coin be considered rare or valuable today? The answer lies in condition, preservation, and market demand. While common circulated examples of the 1946 D penny may only be worth a few cents, coins in better conditions, especially those that have been well preserved or graded higher, can command significantly higher prices. Collectors today are constantly searching for coins that stand out, coins with sharp details, original luster, or unique characteristics such as errors or variations. Even a coin in fine condition can hold increased value if it has appealing toning, minimal damage, or strong detail compared to others in the same grade. In today's market, the value of a 1946 D Lincoln Wheat Penny can vary widely. A typical circulated example in fine condition might be valued at around $150,000. However, if the coin is in extremely fine or uncirculated condition, its value can rise to several dollars, sometimes even reaching $176,000 or more depending on quality. Coins that have been professionally graded and certified can fetch even higher prices, especially if they are near mint condition. But beyond the dollar value, what truly makes this coin fascinating is its story. Imagine the journey this penny has taken since 1946. It may have passed through the hands of soldiers returning home from war, been used in everyday purchases during the post-war economic boom, or sat quietly in a jar for decades before being rediscovered by a collector. Coins like this are tangible connections to the past. They remind us that even the smallest objects can carry immense historical significance. The 1946 D Wheat Penny represents more than just a piece of metal. It's a gateway into the world of numismatics, a hobby that combines history, art, economics, and the thrill of discovery. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, coins like this are often the first step into a lifelong passion. If you're interested in collecting, one of the best places to start is by examining your pocket change or old coin jars. You might be surprised at what you find. Wheat pennies, especially those from the 1940s and earlier, are still occasionally discovered in circulation or in forgotten collections. When evaluating a coin like the 1946 D penny, there are a few key things to look for. First, check the date and mint mark to confirm its origin. Next, examine the overall condition. Look at Lincoln's face, the clarity of the lettering, and the details in the wheat stalks. Finally, consider whether the coin has any unique features, such as errors or unusual coloration, which could increase its value. In the world of coin collecting, patience and knowledge are key. Values can change over time based on market trends and collector interest. What might seem like a simple coin today could become highly sought after in the future. Next up, we're diving deep into one such hidden gem, the 1959 Lincoln Memorial Penny with a D mint mark. A coin that marks a historic transition in American coinage, and one that collectors are quietly hunting for in today's market. Let's start with the story behind this coin. The year 1959 was not just another year for the United States Mint, it was a turning point. For the first time since 1909, the design of the Lincoln cent changed. The iconic wheat ears on the reverse were replaced with the Lincoln Memorial, honoring President Abraham Lincoln in a completely new way. This change came during the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, making the 1959 penny historically significant right from the start. And when you add the Denver Mint mark, D, to it, you get a coin that carries both historical weight and collector appeal. Now, let's talk about the front of the coin, the obverse. On the obverse, you'll find the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's head, the word, Liberty, is boldly inscribed, representing one of the core values of the United States. To the right of Lincoln, you'll see the year 1959. And just below that, the small but important D mint mark, indicating that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. On the left side, the motto, In God We Trust, arches across the top, completing the classic design that millions recognize, but few truly appreciate. Now flip the coin over to the reverse, and you'll notice something that sets this coin apart from its predecessors. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, a detailed and symbolic representation of one of America's most important monuments. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny image of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, an incredible level of detail for such a small coin. Above the memorial, the words, United States of America, are clearly engraved, with E pluribus unum, just below it meaning, out of many one. At the bottom, the denomination, 1 cent, is displayed, reminding us of its humble face value, despite its potential worth to collectors. Let's get into the full details of this coin. The 1959 D. Lincoln Memorial Penny is made primarily of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that classic reddish-brown appearance when well preserved. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. The edge is plain, without any reading, which is standard for pennies. While millions of these coins were produced, condition plays a massive role in determining value, and that's where the very fine condition becomes important. In very fine condition, the coin shows moderate wear but still retains clear details. Lincoln's hair will show some flattening, but major features remain sharp. The lines of the memorial on the reverse are still visible, although slightly worn. Importantly, all inscriptions remain readable and distinct. This level of preservation makes the coin far more desirable than heavily worn examples, yet still accessible compared to uncirculated pieces. Now comes the exciting part, the value. While most 1959 D pennies in circulated condition are worth only a few cents, coins in very fine condition can fetch higher prices depending on their eye appeal and color. A well-preserved example with a strong brown or reddish tone may be valued anywhere from a few dollars to potentially $160,000 or more in collector markets. However, coins that have exceptional preservation, original red color, or unique characteristics can climb significantly higher in value. Collector demand for the 1959 D. Lincoln Memorial Penny remains steady because it represents the first year of a major design change. First-year issue coins often carry a special appeal, and this one is no exception. Add to that the historical significance, the connection to Abraham Lincoln, and the accessibility for beginner collectors, and you have a coin that continues to hold its place in the numismatic world. So, what should you do if you come across one of these coins? First, don't rush to spend it. Take a closer look at its condition. Check for the D mint mark, examine the details, and consider having it evaluated if it appears well preserved. Even if it's not worth a fortune, it could still be a meaningful addition to a collection, or the start of a fascinating hobby. Next up, have you ever picked up an old, dirty penny and thought it was completely worthless? What if I told you that one such coin, a 1984 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin with a D mint mark, could actually hold surprising value in today's market? The coin we're talking about is the United States Lincoln Memorial Penny, minted in the year 1984 at the Denver Mint, which is identified by the small D mint mark found just below the date on the front of the coin. At first glance, especially in worn, dirty, or ugly condition, this coin might seem like nothing more than pocket change. But collectors know better. Sometimes even the most overlooked coins can tell a valuable story. Let's begin with the front, also known as the obverse of the coin. The obverse features the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This design was created by Victor David Brenner, and has been used on pennies since 1909. Around Lincoln's portrait, you will find the inscriptions, In God We Trust. At the top, Liberty, to the left, and the date, 1984, to the right. Just below the date sits the small D mint mark, indicating it was struck in Denver. Now turning to the back, or reverse, of the coin, this is where we see the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial is centered on the reverse, and if you look very closely, you can even see a tiny depiction of Lincoln seated inside the structure. Above the memorial, the words, United States of America, are inscribed, with E pluribus unum, just above the building. At the bottom, the denomination, 1 cent, is clearly displayed. The 1984 D penny is composed primarily of copper-plated zinc. Specifically, it contains 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper, a composition that began in 1982 as a cost-saving measure. Because of this, many of these coins are prone to corrosion, discoloration, and bubbling, which explains why so many appear dirty or damaged today. Even though millions of these coins were minted, certain varieties and eras from 1984 can be quite valuable. One of the most famous is the 1984 doubled ear variety. On this era coin, Lincoln's ear appears doubled due to a die mistake during the minting process. This variety can be worth $38,500, and in high-grade condition, even $46,000. Now you might be wondering, what about a dirty, worn, or ugly-looking 1984 D penny? Is it still valuable? The truth is, condition plays a huge role in coin value. Most circulated 1984 D pennies, especially those in poor condition, are typically worth only a few cents. However, if that same coin has a rare error, strong doubling, or other unique features, its value can increase dramatically, even if it doesn't look pretty. Collectors often search through rolls of pennies specifically looking for these hidden gems. A coin that appears worthless to the average person could actually be a rare collectible waiting to be discovered. In today's market, depending on condition and variety, a 1984 D Lincoln penny could range anywhere from just a few cents to several $58,000. Exceptional era coins, especially certified examples, have been known to sell for much more. Next up, we're diving into one such piece, the 1993 Lincoln Memorial 1 cent coin with a DE mint mark. At first glance, it may seem like just another penny, something you might overlook in your pocket change. But for collectors and enthusiasts, this humble coin tells a deeper story of American heritage, craftsmanship, and even hidden value in today's market. Let's begin with the front, also known as the obverse of the coin. The face features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This portrait has been a staple of the penny since 1909, honoring Lincoln's legacy as one of America's most respected presidents. Above his head, you'll find the word, Liberty, inscribed clearly, symbolizing the foundational value of the United States. To the right of Lincoln's profile is the year 1993, marking the coin's production date. Just below the date, you'll notice the small but important D mint mark, indicating that this coin was struck at the Denver facility of the United States Mint. Encircling the top edge is the phrase, "In God We Trust," a motto that has appeared on U.S. coins for generations. Now turning to the back, or reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, a detailed representation of the monument located in Washington, D.C. The design is so intricate that, under magnification, you can even spot the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. Above the building are the words, United States of America, boldly stating the coin's origin. Just beneath that is the phrase, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one, reflecting the unity of the states. At the bottom, you'll find the denomination, 1 cent, clearly defining its face value. In terms of composition, the 1993 D Lincoln penny is primarily made of zinc, with a thin copper plating. This composition was adopted in 1982 to reduce production costs, making these coins lighter than older copper pennies. The coin weighs about 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, maintaining the standard size familiar to Americans. Now let's talk about condition, a critical factor in determining value. A coin described as fine condition typically shows moderate wear. The details of Lincoln's hair and the memorial may be softened, but the major features remain visible. While this is not a mint state coin, it still holds collectible appeal, especially if it has been preserved well without heavy damage, corrosion, or discoloration. So what about value? Here's where things get interesting. In general circulation, a 1993 D penny is worth exactly 1 cent. However, in the collector's market, even coins in fine condition can sell for a premium, typically ranging from a $67,000 or slightly more, depending on eye appeal and demand. But the real excitement comes from rare variations or errors. If a 1993 D penny has unique features such as double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual coloration, its value can jump significantly, sometimes reaching $95,000. It's important to understand that rarity plays a key role. The Denver Mint produced over 6 billion pennies in 1993, which means most of these coins are not rare. However, finding one in exceptional condition or with a minting error can make it stand out. That's why collectors carefully examine even the most common coins, because hidden treasures do exist. In today's market, coin collecting has seen a resurgence, fueled by online marketplaces and growing interest in historical artifacts. A simple penny like the 1993 Lincoln Memorial coin can become a gateway into this fascinating hobby. It represents not just currency, but a piece of history that has passed through countless hands over the years. Next up, there's something fascinating about the coins we carry every day: small, often overlooked pieces of history that quietly pass through millions of hands. But every once in a while, one of those coins turns out to be far more valuable than its face value suggests. Today, we're diving deep into one such coin, the 1997 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin with a D mint mark, struck in Denver, and why collectors are paying serious money for high-quality examples. Let's start with the basics. The coin we're talking about is officially known as the Lincoln Memorial cent. First introduced in 1959, this design replaced the earlier wheat penny and remained in circulation until 2008. The 1997 D penny is part of this long-running series and was minted at the United States Mint facility in Denver. Now let's take a closer look at the front, or what collectors call the obverse, of the coin. At the center, you'll find the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, facing right. This design was created by Victor David Brenner, and has been used on the penny since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Above Lincoln's head, you'll see the word, Liberty, inscribed clearly. To the right of Lincoln, the date, 1997, is stamped, and just below that, you'll find the small but important D mint mark, indicating it was produced in Denver. Along the top edge of the coin, the phrase, "In God We Trust," arches above the portrait. These inscriptions are not just decorative, they reflect the cultural and historical identity of the United States. Now flip the coin over to the reverse side. Here, you'll see the famous Lincoln Memorial Building, located in Washington, D.C. At the top, the words, "United States of America," are boldly displayed. Just beneath that is the national motto, "E pluribus unum," meaning, "Out of many, one." At the bottom of the coin, the denomination is clearly written as 1 cent. What makes the Lincoln Memorial reverse especially interesting is that, if you look very closely, you can actually see a tiny representation of the Lincoln statue inside the memorial, an incredible level of detail for such a small coin. Now let's talk about the composition and specifications. The 1997 D penny is made primarily of zinc, about 97.5%, with a thin copper plating making up the remaining 2.5%. It weighs approximately 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. This composition has been standard for U.S. pennies since 1982, when rising copper prices led to a change from the older bronze coins. At first glance, you might think a 1997 penny is extremely common, and you'd be right. Over 4 billion of these coins were minted in Denver alone. So how can something so common be valuable? When collectors refer to a coin as being in fine condition, they're talking about a specific grade where the coin shows moderate wear but still retains clear details. However, the real money comes when coins are found in much higher grades, like mint state, especially MS-65 or above. A 1997 D penny in average circulated condition might only be worth its face value, just 1 cent. But in uncirculated, high-grade condition, especially if professionally graded by services like Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company, the value can jump significantly. Some top-condition examples have sold for $62,500, or even higher depending on their grade and appeal. And if the coin has a rare error, such as doubling, off-center strikes, or die cracks, the value can skyrocket into the $88,000. Another factor that can increase value is color designation. Collectors pay more for red pennies coins that retain their original bright copper color compared to brown, or red-brown, coins that have toned over time. So, is your 1997 D penny valuable? If it's heavily worn, probably not. But if you find one in exceptionally clean condition, with sharp details, minimal marks, and bright original luster, you might be holding onto something worth far more than 1 cent. The key is to look closely. Check the mint mark. Examine the surfaces under good lighting. And if you think you have something special, consider having it professionally graded. In the world of coin collecting, even the smallest details can make the biggest difference. And the 1997 Lincoln Memorial penny is a perfect example of how an everyday object can turn into a hidden treasure. So next time you get change in your hand, don't ignore those pennies. You might just discover a rare piece of history hiding in plain sight. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos on rare coins, collectibles, and the exciting world of numismatics. Stay curious, and happy collecting!